I'll tell you what we're doing. The Chinese chicken salad.
Yeah.
It's one thing I've got miso soup.
Oh, beautiful is this, huh?
Yeah, that's my idea. I have miso soup.
Marianne Williamson is my friend. She is also a source of enormous inspiration for me and for millions who have read her books and attended her lectures. For 25 years, she has traveled the world speaking about the teachings contained in a remarkable book entitled A Course in Miracles. And you can look that up if you'd like and see if that might be a way that would work for you. Marianne has written 10 of her own books. 6 of them went on to become New York Times bestsellers. Any biographical data about her just falls short of describing her powers to illuminate the divine potential we all share. I find her to be at one with her convictions, slow to judge, but impatient with the suggestion that failure is an option. There is no distinction between spiritual practices and social concerns when it comes to her passions. I admire her strengths. I respect her vulnerabilities. I love hanging out with her. And she also loves to laugh.
I remember Madonna's first Madonna video, Borderline. And the first time you saw Madonna, and you knew, or the first time you heard Sting singing, it's just every once in a while, despite all the artificial star things, there's a moment where this is it.
What it is, is sometimes we just see that
Genius.
On a recent night, I invited Marianne to my home for dinner and a conversation. And we sat down in front of the fire without any agenda or time constraints. This is not about television or broadcasting or anything formal. Of course, the presence of cameras and lights suggests some kind of an interview, but that's not what this is about. Those are just the tools required to share the evening conversation with you. Try and put those aside. We began with a toast and a prayer.
My aunt told me never hold it that way. Okay.
Do you know why?
Why is that? I forget. I think she told me.
The reason that wine goblets or goblets and to be held by the stem is two. One, if you had your hand over the top of it, you would be heating the wine.
Okay.
So
What about here?
You're heating the wine.
Okay.
Your body temperature is heating it.
I figured it was
Now,
something like
you're
that.
drinking the wine that doesn't need to be chilled. I drink Chardonnay. If I was to hold the glass here, it would get warm too quickly and I'd want to refill the thing. And the other has to do with the bouquet.
Okay.
That by holding the stem, if you hold that to the light, that's the most frequently used color in the history of our religious paintings.
Really?
That color. That's not red, that's not burgundy, that's whatever you want to call it. I call it Cabernet. But that's the blood of Christ. And that's the reason that it's in all of the great paintings. You know what we're doing. We're just talking. I'm not interviewing anybody. It's a dialogue just between us about stuff that
Well, that's what we're doing so far.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
You comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to say a prayer.
Dear God, as I join here with Elliot, we pool our resources, all of the talents and abilities that are gathered here. And we ask that this thing that we're doing be a point of light, that your spirit be upon us, and that something we say or something we do have something within it that touches, helps, comforts, brings peace, hopefully brings love to someone. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. It has been said that when we pray, we speak to God. When we meditate, God speaks to us. When you pray, who is listening?
I feel God listens.
For you, is that an external entity?
No, I think space and time are themselves part of the illusion, as Einstein said. Einstein said reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. So space is one of those illusionary constructs. So to talk about a God outside us, in the Course in Miracles it says one day we will understand there isn't anything outside us. So on one hand, no, I don't believe in an external God, I believe in an internal God, but even more importantly, the whole idea of inside, outside isn't what it appears to be.
Is it, I'm a student of the Course. I haven't gotten to the degree that you have gotten it yet, but I'm working on it, you know.
I don't assume that's true just because you said it, by the way.
I wouldn't think you would. My tradition, certainly my initial tradition is from the Judaic tradition, my father being a very religious Jew and the president of his temple for almost 50 years. My internal tradition tends to reflect Zen Buddhism. And I'm always struck by so many of the similarities that come through when I read my various exercises in the Course. And if I was to list one in 3D neon, it would be the illusion of duality. The illusion of duality. We both know what it means. Tell me if you ever find yourself trapped.
First of all, I want to point out to anybody who might be listening that the Course in Miracles, not being a religion, is based on universal spiritual themes that are at the heart of all the great religious traditions. So I believe that those universal themes are found at the heart of Judaism and Christianity and Buddhism, etc. Do I find myself trapped in the duality? Absolutely. Anybody who's not an enlightened master finds themselves at times trapped within the duality, which is merely to say trapped within the illusion that something is real that in fact is not real. And the reason it's a non-dual universe, from a Course in Miracles perspective, is because only love is real and nothing else exists. My exercise today is God did not create a meaningless world. And you actually go through and you name all these horrible things that happen on the planet, and you go, but that's not real, that doesn't actually exist. I had an experience yesterday.
Tell me about it.
I had asked someone who works for me to collect my mail. It was very important. I was in the middle of writing. And I would see things come in, and I had a feeling they were just sort of being pushed in drawers. So yesterday, I opened a bill that was so past due that they were threatening to take action. And I got very upset because I had asked repeatedly for this person to go through my mail to help me with this. And sure enough, apparently this one bill had been sent, was a medical bill, and had been sent. And so the fact that I got upset, and I did get upset, proves that in that moment, that's what it means to be trapped in the duality. I couldn't, in that moment, see what my way past the illusion, which is another way of saying that in that moment, I was stuck in that place where I didn't know how to express myself with serenity and love and still get my needs met. Right? I wasn't terrible. But there was a tinge of shaming in my voice, for which I later apologized. And I hope that that person gets their part in creating that situation as well. But that's what it means to be trapped in the duality. You're trapped in a situation where what's happening on the material plane, it's three-dimensional reality. It's mortal, even though it's, as Buddha would say, an illusion. The Course in Miracles calls an illusion, a hallucination, etc. The possibility for a miracle is trusting that in love, this can be handled perfectly. You know, I didn't rage or have a tantrum or anything like that, but there was a in my voice. And that's what you learn from. But that was a moment, certainly. The last one I can remember, 24 hours ago.
Does it happen frequently? Is it a very unusual occurrence?
You know what is true for me, Elliot, is that just like an alcoholic learns not to be around alcohol a lot, or a drug addict shouldn't be around drugs, I had some situations in my life that definitely tempted me into a reactive state. But one of the things that I learned from the experiences was I should never have been there. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in situations where people are, I tended to manifest in my life situations where people were going like this. So, how you doing, Elliot? How's it going, Elliot? Not anything really hard, but after a while you would say, stop doing that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And part of it is that honoring myself enough. Honoring, I think that also age. I'm aware in a way that I was not aware 15 years ago. And I was talking to somebody else about this morning who works for me. I don't like have a premonition of my death or have a feeling that I'm going to die soon or anything like that. But just by virtue of the fact that I'm in my 50s, I'm aware of the limitation of this run, of the run of one lifetime, in a way that you're simply not when you're younger. And I think it would have served me in my life to be more aware of it when I was younger. But I'm aware of it now. And I realized that certain situations, you know, you have a choice in life. You can be around people who support you, whose very attitude is, you go, girl, I feel that from you. And if you have a choice, you know, for me, it's like, what was I ever thinking that I would have been with people who seem to, every time I walk down the, you know, the sidewalk, tend to want to put their leg out to trip me up. Now, the very fact that I ever was, you know, whatever the thing was that I thought it showed, I don't know where, you know, where I was coming from, that it's odd, you know, I had to learn, damaged people. And I, too often, and you don't have to spend your whole life around damaged people out of some sense of service. I think it's important to surround yourself with enough people who are vibrating just fine, thank you, so they can give to you too. And it's not like I think that, you know, some of us are more evolved than others. I don't think it's that way. I think all of us have places where we're more evolved and places where we're less evolved. But I just, in my life now, really value the fact that I can grow so much more quickly around people who wish me well. It sounds so simple. But it took me a long time to learn that. And the Course in Miracles says, it is not up to you what you learn, but merely whether you learn through joy or through pain. And I've learned a lot through pain in my life and have come to understand that how self-created that was. And, you know, I didn't have to as much as I did. So I rejoice in being happy now in a way that took a long time coming because I really made manifest situations of unhappiness that I can't blame anyone but myself for. But so when you say, do you go there often? No, I don't go there often because I'm not in situations that tempt me to that often. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm an enlightened master. And I mean, obviously, I just described a situation 24 hours ago,
Yeah.
you know. So obviously, I'm not completely healed, but